At the UK Games Expo, I was lucky enough to get a demo of Operation Artemis. I thought it seemed like a lot of fun, so I pre-ordered it on the day. It's just arrived in the post. Let's get it open and see what we've got. There's some lovely artwork here on the front of the box. You can see the PHR Walkers going toe-to-toe with the Megafauna. I get a distinct Pacific Rim vibe here, which I really like. I like a good kaiju movie. I also like the assortment of weapons that are being used. I know that has a mechanical effect on the game, so I'm excited to see how that works. If we flip the box over, you can see all the goodies that we get inside. I've had a look at these. As I mentioned, I went to the UK Games Expo and saw these models, which are all plastic, really nice, really crisp, and I love the look of the board as well. I can't wait to tear into this. So opening up the box, we can see the nice plastic sprues. We've got two here that look as though they're going to make the PHR Walkers. Put those to one side. And then two more that are the Megafauna. I shall take those out in a minute, give you a good look. Also got some dice. This is interesting. This is obviously the bases. They now come together. Okay, I've never quite seen that before. That's interesting. Here are the stat cards. I should give you a good look at those as well. A rulebook, a mat, and the terrain, plus these cards. Okay, I'm going to break all of this out so that we can have a proper look at it. So, I've read the rulebook. It really didn't take very long, which perhaps tells us something about this product. I absolutely love the Commander universe. Dropzone, Dropfleet, fantastic. But neither one is a game that you will pick up and play. They both require an investment of time and effort to get your head around the rules. I wonder if Operation Artemis is an attempt by TT Combat to draw people into that fantastic universe. I think it's awesome, but this is a much more accessible game and perhaps a way to get people to start playing in that world. The rulebook starts off with a nice bit of fluff about the PHR hunting biophycer beacons on the Talalacan moons. I like that. It's not that the game is just some random fighting, it's part of the larger Commander universe. There's a nice description of the 4 different PHR Walkers, all with slightly different focuses, whether it's melee or ranged attacks. That's very nice. We then move on to some beautiful art, really showing off the lovely colours of the Megafauna. This immediately makes me want to paint the models. There's a quick explanation of the different stats in the game, all of which will make a lot of sense to anybody who's played some war games before. We then move on to an explanation of the game rules, and these really do just take up a few pages. That really is it. I must admit that when I first read the rules to the game, I was a bit concerned that they might be too straightforward, that the outcome of any scenario might just come down to who rolls better with the dice. I'm not a big fan of that. But thankfully, there is some subtlety, there is some nuance, and that comes from the special rules of different weapons. These make certain weapons more or less effective against different types of targets, and they also have some interesting side effects, such as exploding, which can catch multiple targets and remove areas of difficult terrain, perhaps allowing other units to get a line of sight, for example. There's also the fact that some weapons have a bigger or smaller effect on the build-up of noise. Now, this is a mechanic that I really do like. Each time that a PHR Walker attacks or moves through difficult terrain, the noise level increases by 1. Once the noise reaches a certain level, this begins to add bonus dice to attacks made by the Megafauna. However, each time that a PHR group activates and doesn't make any noise, the noise level drops by 4. This creates an interesting dynamic where players have to decide when and how to attack, particularly if they want to use a weapon that is very noisy. There are 5 different scenarios in the rulebook, most of which involve destroying, protecting, or recovering the beacons. There's also one scenario which is a sort of last stand, where the PHR Walkers face endless waves of Megafauna. I can imagine with the right group of friends, that will be a lot of fun. Further choices in the game come from the command cards, with each player having a deck of 28 and a hand of 4 to play each round. There's the usual mixture of rerolls, bonuses to hit, and increased movement, but also some more interesting options that increase the noise, allow megafauna to burst up suddenly out of the ground, or to lash out at a PHR walker as they're brought to the ground. The mat that you get with the game is a perfectly adequate 3x3 paper affair. Print quality is okay, but not outstanding. The buildings are lovely print quality. I really like these a lot. My only quibble is that they seem to have too many flaps and don't go together as easily as I would like. I've put together loads of the previous Dropzone Commander buildings and they were quite a bit easier. Still, having said that, once they're all mixed together, I'm sure they're going to look great. Of course, for a lot of us buying this set, the real stars of the show are the minis. And I know I've been a bit of a tease by making you wait this long. There are 2 identical sprues for the PHR in this set that allow you to make the 4 different walkers. If I lift these closer to the camera, you can see just how sharp and crisp the detail is. This is really nice. Produced by Wargames Atlantic for TT Combat, I believe. And this promises that the 3rd edition of Dropzone Commander, which I'm really excited to see, will have some absolutely stunning minis. It looks to me as though there's absolutely no loss of detail compared to the previous resin models. I think these look great. Here's the sprue for the Megafauna. If I lift that a little closer, you can see once again the lovely quality. In fact, the spines here are very, very sharp. That enormous body is for one of the Minotaurs. And you can see the really lovely detail on these harpies. Again, the Minotaur claw there with the individual sort of toes very visible. I think these look fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to painting up my Megafauna. There we go. It's a great looking sprue. I've assembled a Minotaur, the biggest and baddest of the Megafauna, and placed it here next to a Saber tank, just to give you an idea of how massive this thing is. I love how top heavy it is. It's about 50% jaws. TT Combat have already released the stats for the Type 9 walkers for using them in regular games of Dropzone Commander, which I think is a really smart move. There are also stats for using the Megafauna in games, and I can't wait to try that out, to have them rampaging across a battlefield, causing chaos between 2 armies. I am considering filming a game of Operation Artemis, perhaps even doing a painting tutorial for some of the Megafauna. Please let me know in the comments if that's something that you'd like to see. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If so, please consider giving it a like or subscribe. I hope to see you again soon, and until then, keep rolling.